Before we get you out of here, the team that you know you are going to be higher on than people, the team you know you're going to be lower on than people going into the season.
Oh, that's a good question. I really like Washington as a team that is just going to be a 45 to 47 win team that has a lot of pieces that I like. And it was the team I was hoping Westbrook would go to. I like him and Beal together. That's 55 points a game. We can debate Westbrook another time, but that's 55 points a game with those two guys. And I like their role guys. I like Robin Lopez. I love Bertans. I think Brian will be good. If KOC's dude, Denny, if Denny can come through, Denny and Rui, both of those dudes. But
Troy Brown. That's
Troy Brown
Kevin's
too.
guy.
There's another one.
I like that team. Like if you were telling me Toronto versus Washington, you would say, oh, Toronto will definitely have a better record than Washington. But I think Washington has a little more upside just because what Russ brings to the table, as insane as he is in so many different directions, is just he's going to play 82 games. He will play 2,900 minutes. He'll average a 27-9-9, and you'll win some games you probably shouldn't have won.
The Ringer NBA staff released like power rankings today, and they had the Wizards in the same group as the Hawks and Magic, and I'm like, Wizards should be way better than that.
No way.
Should be way better than those.
They're in the Indiana group. I
agree. Indiana group makes sense.
You know this, Bill, because all those years you had season tickets to the Clippers, and it's much like when I was having to go to every Grizzly game when they sucked for so many years. And it is, you gain a different level of respect for the stars. I feel like this has a profound impact on teams. You see the guys on a Tuesday night in Memphis where there's like not even a video camera at the game, and they still want to just rip your hearts out. Like, those are the wins you just get because those guys they don't care. Like, no matter what game it is, whether it's national TV or not, they want to kill you. And that's the kind of thing that, like, the Westbrook guys, like that, I always end up, Kobe was like that every single time. I watched that dude put up 56, 63, 65 in games that just nobody was even watching. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's watching these
they
games.
didn't take Dinwiddie is the one regret I have with this whole thing. Because I think you had Dinwiddie. I think he could have played with Westbrook and Beal because he can play off the ball. I think he would have given them some playmaking kind of unselfishness that they desperately needed. But in general, if you have two really good players and you have good role players around them, you're going to be good. And they have two top 30 guys.
So the team, you know you're going to be lower on than the consensus.
I'm dubious of the Clippers.
Ooh, interesting. Clippers.
I think there's some weird chemistry shit going on there. They didn't make all the trades I thought they were going to make. I didn't like anything I read from those dudes. Paul George talking about basically blaming Doc Rivers like it was Doc Rivers' fault. He just would check out of halves.
You live in LA.
Marcus Morris, I wasn't used correctly. You're Marcus Morris. You've been on 9 teams. What are you talking about?
Hey, how long does it take you to drive to San Diego, by the way?
When I read that, that's a 2-hour drive because my daughter has soccer in there sometimes. It's like you try to leave when there's no traffic because it's a
2 hours?
It's a legit 2 hours. Legit.
No wonder he was always late to the plane or whatever.
I thought he had like a helicopter thing going on, but I don't like. Here's the other thing with Kawhi. You know, he landed in that really a perfect situation in Toronto, right? Mm-hmm. Like they have a foundation, they have real leadership, they have an awesome coach, they have a great organization. He's entering a team that was already like kind of a fringe contender. It wasn't unrealistic for them to make the jump. And all he had to do is fit in. He didn't have to be like the guy. I don't know. Can he be the guy? If your best two guys are Kawhi and Paul George, what kind of team are you going to have?
Is it possible?
What kind of heart are you going to have for 4 rounds?
This might be a silly thought, but I'm just going to ask it anyway. Is there any chance Kawhi comes back a more vocal person, realizing that he needs to take no chance? Zero.
No chance. He doesn't speak.
No
chance.
Chance.
Listen, I think he's one of the top 30 players ever. I think he's awesome, but somebody's going to have to be the alpha dog on that team. And maybe it's going to be Ty Lue because I think he did that with the Cavs. If he can be the alpha dog and hold those dudes accountable, you can't say it strongly enough. They rolled over in that Nuggets series. That was a rollover. There's like something wrong with your team and really all they did was flip Harrell into Ibaka. I don't feel like that's enough.
But why can't that happen? Kawhi Leonard's a player who transformed who he was. He has maximized the on-court product. This is the first time San Antonio, when they were winning there, they had established leaders, goes to Toronto. They have Kyle Lowry and other vets there. And then he goes to the Clippers and they fail. Is it not possible that Kawhi over the offseason is like, you know what? I got to work on me, how I am as a leader and how I interact with my teammates. I don't.
How do you work on that? What does he go to, like Starbucks and orders a couple baristas around? I don't know how you work on that.
It's a commitment to using your voice. It's a commitment to being a leader. And I think that's a transformation that, whether it happens in business or whether it happens on a basketball team, is something people can make. It's not like he hasn't been a leader by example. By what he
hopeful Gen Z KOC,
and maybe it is. And that's why I said he has been. He's been. That's why I said it could be silly.
He's been a leader by poor example. If what they say is true, which is playing whatever he wants to play, people sitting on people sitting on a plane waiting for it to go off. I'd be like, that part
is ridiculous,
dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Here's the thing: you can get away with that special privilege stuff when you're LeBron, and that's it. That's the only guy in the league who can do that stuff. And by the way, LeBron is an awesome leader. And
he is.
You read all these different stories about he really puts a lot of time, thought, and energy in how to be the main force with all these dudes and organizing team dinners and movie nights and all these different things. Kawhi's not ever going to be that kind of guy. But I worry about two things with him. One is, has it already passed the point of no return where they were catering to him in so many different ways? How do you kind of pull that back? When you're letting somebody pick when they practice and pick when they show up, how do you crack down on that? And then the other thing is just him physically. I thought he really slowed down. KOC, that last round against Denver.
That's what I worry about.
He looked like he was past his prime in a couple of those games. Whereas in the Dallas series, it was like, oh my God, Kawhi's amazing. Well, he's never looked better. And I thought he tailed off big time.
That's why with the injury stuff and him, load management and missing practices, I get it. But the fact that he has to do that in order to be healthy and be productive deep into a potential playoff finals run, that's why I worry. The physical reason he has to skip those practices and has to load manage, because of the fact that he has some problem with his lower body that causes that issue. And that, as we saw in the postseason, did cause a bit of a decline. He did not look like the Kawhi Leonard that we saw with Toronto or the San Antonio Spurs or even earlier in the season with the Clippers. So that's my number one concern with them, is the health of Kawhi and the leadership aspects.
Do you like their team? Do you like the way the pieces fit? Because I'm not sure. I can't believe they didn't get rid of Lou Williams. Lou Williams the worst playoff player of the last 10 years.
It's still a good team, and I don't think I'm ready to assess their playoff hopes until the deadline passes. But right now, they still got to make changes. Lou Williams got to change that. I think the Kennard upgrade. I mean, we'll see how the chemistry shakes out. They know more than anybody who the causes were of the chemistry issues there. And swapping Harrell, granted, Harrell was really good for him, and he was an energizer at times when their offense was sluggish, and they needed him during the regular season. They know in that front office and coaching staff who the real chemistry issues were. And if it were just Harrell and not Lou Will and not Patrick Beverley or anybody else, then maybe things can work out better with this different mix that they have. But I'm not convinced that they're done making moves. I think more will come and needs to come.
Chris, one other thing on this. What happens if they don't come out of the gate well? And you have Paul George, who has a player option, and you have a thing called the trade deadline? I feel like he becomes available pretty fast. There will be a scapegoat coming out of the gate here in the first 2 months, unless they look like the Clippers. The thing with that Clippers team last year, they never looked like the Clipper team we thought we were getting. You'd see a flash for a game or 2 games, and you'd wait and wait. It never happened. And even in the Dallas series, they let a Dallas team hang around that had fucking Luka playing on one leg, and Porzingis played 40% of the series, 30% of the series. That Dallas dragged it to 6. Like, what the hell was that?
So are you leading that we can come full circle and Paul George, we team him up with James Harden?
Those two deserve each other.